Okay, for this problem, it's slightly more complicated. We're going to have to deal with the fact that we have a salt here that is dissolving. It's an electrolyte. So how many grams of ammonium sulfate do you have in 250 milliliters of solution in which the ammonium ion is measured at 1.50 molar? Okay, so for this we need to remember that, first off, let's figure out what ammonium sulfate is. Ammonium NH4 plus, and sulfate is SO4 2 minus, so we actually need two ammoniums. Okay, so that's going to be ammonium sulfate. Now keep in mind that this is aqueous because ammonium is always aqueous, and therefore when we look at this, it's really going to exist as 2NH4 plus and an SO4 2 minus ion in solution. So since we know the molarity of the NH4 plus solutions here, we're going to have to use that to go back to the moles of the NH4 SO4, the NH4 SO4, sorry, the ammonium sulfate, and then use that to find out how many grams of it took initially to make this. So let's start off by taking that molarity and converting that over. So we have 1.50 molar ammonium, and we have 0.250 liters of that. So that is going to come out to 0.375 moles of ammonium. Now, I want to convert that to ammonium sulfate. So just like we do with molecules and stuff, we know that if we have 0.375 moles of ammonium, we can figure out how many moles of ammonium sulfate it took to make that many moles of it. So what we're going to do is put the moles of ammonium sulfate over the moles of ammonium. So we have 1 NH4 2 SO4, and there, for that there's 2 NH4 plus. Okay, so now out of that we get that it is 0.1875 moles of ammonium sulfate. Now all we have to do is multiply this by the molar mass. So if we run the molar mass of this, it comes out to 132.15 grams per mole. Moles cancel, and we end up with 24.8, round it for sig figs, grams of ammonium sulfate. So that's about as complicated as you get because we had to do this initial step right here of converting. We had to take into account the fact that we were given the molarity of the ammonium ion, and do this. Typically you'd be given something like, you have a 0.75 molar ammonium sulfate solution, how many grams, and from there you would just use the 0.75 times 0.25 liters, gives you moles of ammonium sulfate, and you can then convert it. In this case we had to divide by 2 further because we had to deal with this conversion from ammonium sulfate over to the ammonium sulfate, from the ammonium ion. Okay, but that's about as complicated as you can get, and there's simple conversions.